Dark Magician is one of the most iconic monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh history. With over 20 years since its first appearance, it is probably more competitive now than ever before. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, go ahead and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, hit that notification bell because we just too strong. Now, I know a Dark Magician or a magician normally doesn't reveal his secrets, but without further ado, I present to you a competitive Dark Magician deck profile for the February 2018 format. Well, actually, it's kind of like March 2018, but I digress. We're going to open that mystic box and show you what we have in store for the monsters. 3 copies of Dark Magician. I mean, you probably wouldn't be a Dark Magician deck without at least 1 copy. It is the main card of the deck. You want to continuously bring this card out and use the fact that it is a Dark Magician monster in its name throughout the main deck, graveyard, and on your side of the field. 2 copies of a Princess Illusion Magician, or should I just say Dark Magician Girl Jr. Basically what this card does is that you can special summon this card by discarding 1 card, and if it's normal summon or special summon, you can add 1 Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. Also, during damage calculation, you can send her from your hand or field to the graveyard to give one of your monsters 2,000 attack. Now this card is really good for getting over your opponent's beefy monsters, but if you did play multiple copies, you could provide an OTK, and don't worry fellas, we definitely have those budget options, so stay tuned because we're about to show you guys some expensive cards later on down the road. Next is 1 copy of Magician of Dark Illusions. After you activated a card on your opponent's turn, you can special summon this card to your side of the field, and then if you activate a spell or trap card again, you can special summon a Dark Magician monster from your graveyard to your side of the field. This card is really good because it does act as a pseudo Dark Magician on the field, so it allows us to activate Magician's Navigation in our graveyard. It allows us to activate our Dark Magical Circles, and it allows us to tutor Dark Magician from our graveyard to the side of the field. It's also pretty important for a combo that we play. Now, 3 copies of Magician's Rod. In my last deck profile, I probably was on drugs when I only ran 2 copies. They were right. Everybody was right. This is probably one of the most important monsters in the deck when it is normal summon. You can add 1 spell or trap card that lists Dark Magician in its name from your deck to your hand. It's a really good card. Now, unfortunately, it needs to be normal summoned to gain that effect, so its second effect doesn't really mean anything, but during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap effect, you contribute 1 spellcaster monster to special summon this card, or I'm sorry, to add this card from your graveyard to your hand. I'm actually thinking of the other Dark Magician monster, but it's pretty good at being able to recurse itself. It allows you to build some board presence and search your important cards. That's it for the Dark Magician and Magician-like monsters with 3 rods, 1 illusion, 2 apprentice illusion magician, and 3 dark magicians. Now, this card is going to be, in my opinion, important in both builds, whether you're going to run a budget build or you're going to run a competitive build. I think that there's no way around playing this card, which is 2 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. So yes, we're playing the Spellbook engine. Now, the reason why this card is so important is because when it's normal summon to flip face up, you get to add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand, which fuels your engine. You need to be able to draw into your pieces. This deck needs its pieces, which is Dark Magician, Dark Magical Circle, and 1 of the trap cards to summon your Dark Magician to your side of the field. And also, not only does this card synergize so well with it being a spellcaster monster itself, so do the spellbook cards, allowing you to draw additional cards and dig deeper into your deck. Next on the Magician's list, he actually has another apprentice that runs around, and this is where the deck kind of gets a little expensive for you budget players, but don't worry, again, like I said, we do have those budget options. 3 copies of Wind Witch Ice Bell, 2 copies of Wind Witch Glass Bell, 1 copy of Wind Witch Snowbell. Now, the reason why this is so important because Dark Magician doesn't utilize the extra deck as good as it should. Now, it still can summon really good monsters, really big monsters, and I'll show you guys in the combo tutorial / test hands. Let's just get this video to 150 likes. I know you guys can do it. It was freaking awesome to see you guys do it in only 19 hours on the dual video, so I know you guys can do it now, but I'm kind of digressing. Let's get back to the Wind Witch engine. Being able to make a 1-card Crystal Wave Wing, and then back it up with Spell and Trap cards as well as your Magical Circles and Dark Magician to banish the opponent's cards is really good. And don't worry guys, again, the budget option I feel is just as solid as a contender as the Wind Witch engine. So that's it for the Wind Witch engine. And then last but not least for monsters, 3 copies of Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring. Now this is where you guys come kind of a budget conundrum. The reprint is about to come out on Friday for this card, but unfortunately Ash Blossoms don't seem to drop too far. You guys could play Ghost Ogres or even Effect Veilers in place of Ash Blossoms if you still can't afford Ash Blossoms in that window. But ultimately Ash Blossom is just really good for disrupting the opponent. If you for some reason you just can't afford them, again, those other hand traps work just well inside of this deck. Ash Blossom isn't even the best hand trap in the format if you ask me anymore. But that's it for that. On to the next, the spells. The Spellbook engine, we actually run 3 copies of Spellbook of Secrets and 2 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge. Secret searches the Little Boy, which searches the Spellbook of Knowledge, and Little Boy searches the Secrets, which searches the Spellbook of Knowledge. I would love to play 3 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge, but it's not really that important in this particular build. But you do need to see your draw cards and draw as many cards as possible from your deck to your hand to accomplish your goal. So that's pretty much it for the Spellbook cards. Now for the Magician cards, of course, 3 copies of Dark Magical Circle. This card is pivotal for the deck. I mean, you could say it might just put a spell on you every time you activate it. Get it? Because it's a magic. All right, but anyways, when this card is activated, you get to look at the top 3 cards from your deck and add a card that lists Dark Magician or Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. Don't sleep on that first effect. There are so many times where I need that crucial piece that this card actually adds. The most important thing about it is that every time you normal summon or special summon a Dark Magician monster, and once during that turn, you can banish a card on your opponent's side of the field. Now, this card does activate during the opponent's turn, so as long as you can continuously special summon Dark Magician monsters, once per turn, you get to banish an opponent's card, which is essentially a Zodiac Dryad. And for people that don't know what Zodiac Dryad is, it's a really good banned card. So being able to have a card that's pseudo that is pretty good. Now, 1 copy of Dark Magic Inheritance. This abuses the Spellbook engine pretty well, being able to search any of your Dark Magician cards from your deck to your hand. Dark Magic Attack is essentially a Harpy's Feather Duster for controlling a Dark Magic, or for controlling a Dark Magician, and it's searchable. And Illusion Magic, which allows you to tribute a spellcaster monster to add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. And of course, we play one of Yugi's signature cards, or everybody's signature cards, Monster Reborn, because special summoning that Dark Magician monster to your side of the field is pretty important. That's it for the spell cards. For the trap cards, we run more Dark Magician cards, 3 copies of Eternal Soul. This is probably one of the most important cards of the deck, mainly because once per turn, every turn, you can special summon a Dark Magician monster to your side of the field, or you can add a Thousand Knives or Dark Magic Attack. We don't play Thousand Knives because it's not a great card, but adding a Harpy Feather Duster from your deck to your hand is pretty good. Also, even more importantly, Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects, which basically makes Dark Magician almost invincible. This card is amazing for the deck. Next is 2 copies of Magician Navigation. I feel like 3 copies is way too much. Seeing that its specifications require you to have Dark Magician, you have to have Dark Magician in your hand to be able to activate it. It also allows you to special summon 1 level 7 or lower spellcaster monster to your side of the field, which is also really good. But its real good value is that while it's in the graveyard, if you control a Dark Magician on your side of the field, you can banish it to negate an opponent's spell card. So if your opponent's trying to Raigeki you, if they're trying to Pot of Desires, if they're trying to dig deeper into their combo pieces, you can banish this Magician Navigation to negate it. And yes, we know, well, we know now, Xander didn't use the Magician Navigation properly, because he probably would have won that duel. That I will give you guys, but that's just how powerful the Dark Magician strategy is. That's it for the Magician trap cards. No, we don't run Darken the Rule. No, we don't run any of the other Magician cards. To be honest with you guys, they're not that good. And unfortunately, I wish a Printed Illusion Magician said this card is treated as Dark Magician Girl, because we'd have even more spice, but Dark Magician Girl herself isn't that good either. Now for the traps, we run 3 copies of Solemn Strike, 1 copy of Solemn Warning, and 1 copy of Solemn Judgment. Reason being is that being able to provide a Crystal Wing on our side of the field is good, but we need to back up the Crystal Wing nowadays with more disruption. I apologize, guys, that was my phone. But we need to provide more disruption alongside the Crystal Wing, or even when we have our Dark Magical Circle, we need to provide more disruption. And these cards are probably the prime candidate. Solemn Judgment is really just so we don't get board wiped, because the deck is really heavy on board presence. But Warning and Strikes are really good at controlling the board situation and allowing us to use our Dark Magical Circles to poke out our opponent's other cards, such as their Pendulum Scales, their back row, without worrying about any monster effects. So that is it for the main board with 42 cards. I believe it's 16 monsters or 20 monsters, 10 traps, and 12 spells. So now on to the extra deck. One copy of Ebon, Illusion Magician. Card allows you to tutor Dark Magician from your deck to your side of the field, and you can use Naruto as material for this card. One copy of Ebon, High Magician. This card allows you to activate cards from your hand. You know, it's a pretty good card. Activating quick play spell or trap cards from your hand, and when it's destroyed, it does replace itself with a spellcaster monster. Big Eye is really good for snatching your opponent's bitch, using that monster to you know, gain its effects. Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, we actually run this the exact same way that the other players run out the Odd Eyes engine, and that is to make a free Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Now, number 42 Galaxy Tomahawk is amazing in this deck, and I have a small combo that I'm going to show you guys, because yes, I'm going to butcher it up on the combo tutorial that I've already made, so I'm not going back. But it's another way to make this combo, to make Sarjuya and draw 4 cards. And then Naruto, the Moral Leader, this card's freaking amazing. It's really good. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to make in this particular build because we only run 2 level 6s, but when you do, it allows us to negate opponent's spell and trap cards. Now, one Sarjuya, card's amazing. I just couldn't resist playing this card and, you know, making it free with the Galaxy Tomahawk, because it's so free and allows you to draw 4 cards. Cleave Genius. Now, I know you guys are probably scratching your heads with this, but there's a really good reason, and it's part of the Sarjuya combo. Underclock Taker, Proxy Dragon, and Link Spider. That's gonna sum up the Link monsters. Basically, all of these monsters, except for Underclock Taker, are used to make the Sarjuya. So the Galaxy Tomahawk is summoned by using 2 7s. You spell summon as many tokens to your side of the field. Use the Tomahawk and the token to make Cleave Genius, and then you use one of the tokens to make the Link Spider, the other 2 tokens to make the Proxy Dragon, and then the last token, the Cleave Genius, the Link Spider, and the Proxy Dragon to make Sarjuya for a +4. Now, in the combo tutorial / test hands that you guys will be getting if this video gets 150 likes, so make sure you guys go ahead and get it. I do it a different way, but it's all the same thing. This one just required 2 monsters instead of 3. On to the rest of the extra deck. Of course, we run Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Wind Witch Winterbell, and Odd Eyes Vortex. This is for the Crystal Wing combo, which I'll explain in the combo tutorial. Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon is when we use Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon as link material, and then Clear Wing is because we run enough copies to actually make a Clear Wing after we make the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Now, before I get into the side deck, let me talk about these budget options. This deck is freaking amazing. I'm telling you guys right here, right now. And the budget option, I swear, is just as competitive. So what I'm going to do for the extra deck is drop Wind Witch Winterbell, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, and as well as the Wind Witches, because like I said, they're pretty expensive. Besides that, in the Ash Blossom, those are the only things I can really budge. I'm sorry, I can't budge on that spellbook engine because I think it's really pivotal, but it's an investment worthwhile because it works in so many other decks. What you guys are going to add is 2 copies of Eye of Timaeus, another Dark Magic Inheritance, a Spellbook of Knowledge, Princess Illusion Magician, and a Magician of Dark Illusion into your main deck. And I'm telling you guys, this build is just as saucy. This is the Timaeus version, and basically, I apologize. Adding another Magician monster to be able to special summon to your side of the field should feed your Timaeus play really easily. Being able to special summon, my apologies, Dark Magician, Dragon Master Knight, Dark Paladin to your side of the field, or you can even tech in the Amulet Dragon is really good. It's freaking awesome. Dark Magic Inheritance, since we do run more spellbook cards, is almost always live, being able to search in your critical pieces. This card not only fuels the OTK, but helps us search Dark Magician, and since the deck is more Dark Magician focused, I felt that she was necessary. And then of course, Magician of Dark Illusion, I've already said, counts as a Dark Magician. So the budget option is really good. I really couldn't decide between either of them if I were to enter an event. Now on to the sideboard. For the sideboard, we run 3 copies of to be honest, I feel like Droll and Lock is probably the best hand trap because it does so well against the best deck of the format. So I really couldn't bring myself to main it because it doesn't do great against other matchups, but I think it's the best hand trap or better than Ash at this current predicament. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, really good against just a lot of great stuff. And then 2 copies of Effect Veiler, also extremely good against for effect negation. So those are our hand traps we decide to play into our sideboard. If you guys just couldn't afford the Ashes, that's perfectly fine. You can throw these Effect Veilers or Ghost Ogres into your main deck. Droll and Lockbird actually received the reprint as well. So these are pretty all cheap cards right now. I would have urged you to pick up the Droll and Lockbirds while you can. Throwing those into your main deck is a good, it suffices for the Ash Blossoms. And then playing whatever you guys feel, possibly another Dark Magic attack or whatever you guys feel for your meta. 2 copies of Twin Twisters for back row disruption. 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier, really good against Pendulums. I actually played against a couple of Ritual Blue Eyes decks, and unfortunately this card does say no to them. And then 3 copies of Evenly Match. For the people that can't afford Evenly Match, normally I suggest the Kaiju, but there's a card even better than Kaiju's right now. It's dun 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 dun, the Sphere Mode, because this deck doesn't heavily rely on its normal summon, and losing a normal summon to tribute 3 of your opponent's monsters just might be worth it. It might set you back just a little bit, but it's gonna singly, hands down, win you the game. So I thought that was freaking awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed both profiles, the Windwitch version and the Tamaya's version. And if you guys want to see those combo tutorials plus test hands, destroy that like button again. Let's get to 150 likes because you guys are awesome. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm actually going to put something up on my Patreon for free for everybody to see, but most of all, enjoy. It'll be both builds.